Part 22. After getting pregnant, the celibate Buddhist fiercely dotes on his beloved wife. Author, Ju Yi. Chapter 211. Ever since Fu Xuanyi went on annual leave, Wei Yuxian had never been able to get up early in the morning. She always slept until almost lunchtime. As for the reason, Wei Yuxian was embarrassed to say it. Every time she looked at her mother's loving eyes and smiling face, she felt even more embarrassed. During such a wonderful holiday, she originally wanted to take the babies out to play. Now that the babies have grown up, she can take them out to play. But every day, her back was sore. Let alone going out to play, even going for a walk in the yard is a bit reluctant. On the afternoon of New Year's Eve, the chefs in the kitchen were busy preparing the New Year's Eve dinner. After the New Year's Eve dinner was ready, they could go home for the holidays to reunite with their families. In the living room, Wei Yuxian had just gotten up from her nap. When she went downstairs, she saw her two elders playing with Shishi and Zizi in a small corner of the living room, where a soft blanket was spread for the two babies to crawl on. Wei Yuxian rubbed her still sore waist, glared at the man beside her, and walked over. If it weren't for this man, why would her back be sore for so many days? If it hadn't been for this man, why wouldn't she have taken her babies out to play until now? Even though I said no, I still come, every night. I don't know where he got so much energy. Doesn't he have so much energy after not having to go to work? Sure enough, it would be better to let him go to work and use up all that energy. Fu Xuanyi touched his nose and walked over there with Wei Yuxian. Wei Yuxian took off her shoes and went in to sit down. She watched the two babies crawling around on the mat, full of energy. She called people, Dad, Mom. Fu Xuanyi sat down next to her silently and also called, Dad, Mom. The second elder responded and continued to play with the two children. From time to time, she twisted her little buttocks, followed the smell and crawled to her mother's side, lying on Wei Yuxian's lap, laughing. Zizi also crawled with her little buttocks twisted, smelled her mother's scent, and became happy. After a while, she crawled to Wei Yuxian's side and lay on the other thigh. Wei Yuxian wanted to be cute by her two little darlings. She lowered her head and kissed them on the face, shouting, Shishi, Zizi. Mother Fu smiled and said, they smelled your scent and crawled over. Wei Yuxian used sweat towels to wipe the sweat from the foreheads of the two babies. The heating at home is fully turned on, so wearing short sleeves is just right. The two children have just climbed several laps. They are exercising enough that they will inevitably sweat. The babies were even happier when they saw their mother interacting with them. Their eyes were filled with smiles. Both children are beautiful, and they look even more beautiful when they smile. Wei Yuxian and Fu Xuanyi are both good-looking, and the babies they give birth to are naturally good-looking. Seeing this, Wei Yuxian couldn't help but take out her mobile phone and took several photos of the two babies, hoping to save enough to make a photo album. There are already several photo albums at home, all of which are diaries of babies' growth recorded by Wei Yuxian. She was always very curious about the mobile phone in her mother's hand, and stretched out her hand to grab it. Wei Yuxian avoided his hand while taking pictures of him, and the corners of her mouth couldn't help but turn up. Her family looks so cute like this. When he couldn't get his cell phone, he started to call, making simple syllables from his mouth, but he didn't know what he was calling. Wei Yuxian stopped taking pictures, took her phone away, and said, Shishi, if you call Mom, Mom will give you the phone. She poked Shishi's little face and said. Although I knew I couldn't understand what she said, I still said it. From time to time, he continued to call out baby words that adults could not understand, and raised his little hand to reach for the mobile phone in his mother's hand. When Zizi saw her brother doing this, she immediately became interested in the phone in Wei Yuxian's hand and started calling out like her brother. Wei Yuxian patiently guided the two babies, always no, call Mom, Mom, Mom dash. She also deliberately slowed down so that the two babies could hear more clearly. After painstakingly teaching it several times, the two babies also worked hard to learn what their mother said, and their pronunciation became more and more similar. Oh, wow, Mom. The latter title is also a bit vague, but fortunately, it is called out. Wei Yuxian looked at Zhizi with surprise, picked up the little baby, and asked Fu Xuanyi, Actuan, did you hear that? Zhizi just called me Mom. Zhizi was hugged by her mother, and she kept screaming wow, what, 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 out there in her arms. Occasionally, she would get the right call, but Wei Yuxian was so happy. Listen, Zhizi called me Mom again. She kissed Zhizi several times on the face and praised, our Zhizi is awesome. So awesome. She even calls you Mommy. Mommy loves you so much, baby Zhizi. Fu's mother also came over and pinched Zhizi's little face, and said, Zhizi is great. You can call me Mom now. Later, you can call me Dad and grandparents to make Grandma happy too. By the side of her legs, she always wanted to climb on her mother, calling and calling out, and also called out Mom. Wei Yuxian looked at the little baby Shishi with a look of surprise again. She picked up the two children one by one and kissed them many times on their faces. Compliments poured out in buckets and buckets, making her smile from ear to ear. After playing with the babies for a while, the chefs working in the kitchen finally prepared the New Year's Eve dinner and served it on the table. All the servants gathered in the living room. Fu's mother held a stack of red envelopes in her hand, said a few words of blessing, gave everyone a red envelope, and sent them home to celebrate the New Year. The servants had happy smiles on their faces, said a few auspicious words, and then went home. This is the second time Wei Yuxian has celebrated the New Year at the Fu family. The atmosphere this year is even better than the previous year because there are two more babies this year. Two new members were added to their family. While Wei Yuxian was eating, she recalled how difficult it had been for her over the years, and how hard it had been along the way. But fortunately, everything is different now. She has come to Fu's house, a warm place. With Fu Xuanyi who loves her, her parents and Shishi's Zhizi, she can still go to school without any worries. All of this was so beautiful that Wei Yuxian remembered every moment with her heart. But there's one thing that's not so good, if only this man didn't think about those things all day long, and wouldn't be so energetic every night. Wei Yuxian held Zhizi in her arms and turned to look at the man beside her, who was holding Shishi in her arms. They are a happy family. Warm reminder, if you find that clicking the next page will force you to jump to other websites, please use the chapter error or contact us at the bottom to inform us. We will handle it as soon as possible. Thank you for your understanding. After getting pregnant, the celibate Buddhist fiercely dotes on his beloved wife. Author, Ju Yi. Chapter 212. The Spring Festival is here, as expected. During the Chinese New Year, Wei Yuxian went to Grandma Fu Xuanyi's house with her two elders, and the two babies also went with her. After that, the wealthy families in Kyoto came to give gifts to the Fu family. Just like last year, many people gave gifts to the Fu family, and the Fu family would also give them a gift in return. At this time, Aunt Fu and other servants came back to work and made everything in order. On the Qin family's side, Qin Junling and Qin Zimu stayed at the Fu family's old residence for 2 days and then returned to the villa. There were too many old family members, and many people came. Qin Junling thought it was too noisy, so he came back. And Qin Zimu naturally wanted to follow his sister. Although the Qin family's business has been unsatisfactory recently, It has accumulated many years of experience and it is only a matter of time before it recovers. In addition, the Fu family did not kill the Qin family, but just stopped cooperating with the Qin family. As soon as he returned to the villa, Qin Zimu went back to his room and took a deep sleep before talking. She didn't sleep well in the past 2 days at the old house, and she didn't know what was going on. Obviously she used to live in the old house and didn't think there was anything wrong, but when she went back to live in the past 2 days, she actually felt uncomfortable. When I returned to my sister's villa, I felt relaxed all over. It's also possible that it's because my sister's place is quiet. There are few people. Except for a few servants, there is no one else, and no one will look at her right hand intentionally or unintentionally. Lying on the bed, Qin Zimu raised his right hand. There was only a myoelectric prosthetic hand installed there. After these days of training, she has been able to master this hand very well and has adjusted it very well. Eating is no problem, and carrying some light things is no problem either. She sighed, put her hands down, yawned, covered herself with the quilt, and fell asleep soon after. When she woke up, it was already evening, and dinner time had begun for a while. She got up to wash up, walked downstairs, and saw her sister sitting on the sofa, holding a mobile phone in her hand, and she didn't know what she was looking at. She called sister, then walked to the dining table and asked the servant to serve dinner. Qin Junling responded, stood up, walked over, and sat down at the dining table. Soon, the servant pushed the dining cart up, put dinner on the table, and said, "Mr. Qin, second miss, please use it slowly." Qin Zimu saw Qin Junling also picking up chopsticks and asked, "Sister, didn't you have dinner?" Qin Junling nodded and said, "I wasn't very hungry just now, so I was waiting for you to eat together." After hearing this, Qin Zimu felt warm in his heart. He smiled beautifully at his sister and said, "Sister, you don't have to wait for me." Although her sister just said that, she knew that her sister was waiting for her specially, not that she wasn't hungry. Qin Junling shook his head helplessly, "I really didn't wait for you specially. I wasn't really hungry just now, but now, I am." Qin Zimu didn't say any more. He knew it in his heart. He gave his sister a few pieces of meat and said, "Sister, eat more meat." I don't see my sister eating much in the old house. The two sisters were chatting and having dinner. Qin Junling was in a good mood tonight and asked the servant to bring a bottle of red wine and planned to have a drink. Qin Zimu frowned, held down his sister's hand when pouring wine, and said, "Sister promised me to drink less." Qin Junling patted her hand and said, "I'm in a good mood tonight, and it's the Chinese New Year, so I'll drink a little and not get drunk." Qin Zimu pouted and said unhappily, "Okay, sister, you can only drink a little bit, not too much. Drinking too much is not good for your health." She knew that her sister would drink quietly late at night. She had seen her drinking several times, but she didn't say anything about it. As for why her sister drank, she also knew that it was all for the Qin family. Qin's business has been difficult recently, so many people took this opportunity to put pressure on her sister and try to push her down. But how good can they be? If they were sitting in this position, I'm afraid the Qin family would go bankrupt in a short time. Among the younger generation of the Qin family, no one is more powerful than my sister. Most of them are just people who are greedy for pleasure. They would have fun every year with the Qin family's dividends. Without their sister, they might not be able to get so many dividends every year. Even so, they are still not satisfied. They still covet their sister's position and want to pull her down. It's really abominable. In the future, when she becomes proficient in learning, she will be her sister's sword. If her sister is not easy to strike with, she will come and pull down all those who her sister can't stand. There is no better person in this world than my sister. Qin Junling got permission, poured a third of a glass of red wine out, swayed it gently in the glass, and after a while, put it to his lips and drank it all in one gulp. After savoring the taste of the red wine, she poured another third of the cup out and asked Qin Zimu next to her, "Would you like a little, Xiao Mu?" Qin Zimu shook his head first. She rarely drank, and she rarely drank when hanging out with Xiao and the others. She smoked more because she had a poor drinking tolerance. But seeing her sister enjoying herself while drinking, she couldn't help but feel a little excited and nodded. Qin Junling laughed and asked, "Do you want it or not?" Qin Zimu pushed the goblet over and said, "If you want it, I'll drink a little and drink with my sister." Qin Junling poured her a third of the cup and said, "Drink slowly, don't be in a hurry." Qin Zimu nodded, indicating that he understood, and drank a little bit of wine with his sister. "Taste, okay. Sure enough, the things at my sister's house are all good, and even the wine is much better than what's available outside. It's sweet and doesn't taste like alcohol." Qin Zimu thought it tasted good and couldn't help but drink more. Little did she know that this wine had great stamina. Qin Junling didn't remind her, he just smiled and watched her drink it. After a few glasses of wine, Qin Zimu's drinking capacity was light and he got drunk successfully. His face was red and his brain was a mess. Qin Junling asked the servant to send her back to the room to rest while he continued to drink the rest of the wine. She has a good drinking capacity, which was not good at first, but in order to discuss business, she drank a lot and became a good drinker. A bottle of wine is nothing more than child's play for her. She opened another bottle of wine, and just as she was about to drink it, a servant came to report, "Mr. Qin, there is a young lady outside who wants to see you." Qin Junling put down his wine glass and asked, "Who is it?" The servant shook his head and said, "I don't know. The lady didn't say anything. She just said she had something important to talk to you about." Qin Junling thought about it and didn't expect who would come to see her at this time. "Maybe, someone was just playing a prank," she said. "No." The servant took the order and went out. After a while, he came in again and said, "Mr. Qin, the lady said that she wants to talk to you about Wei Yuxian. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." After getting pregnant, the celibate Buddhist fiercely dotes on his beloved wife. Author, Zhu Yi. Chapter 213. Qin Junling stopped drinking, put down the glass, looked at the servant with sharp eyes, and asked, "What does that woman look like?" Servant, "Mr. Qin, she is sitting in the car and wearing a hat, so she can't see her face clearly." "Then did she say what her name was?" The servant shook his head and said, "No, she didn't say anything." Qin Junling nodded, indicating that he understood. Then, she stared at the wine glass on the table and the scarlet liquid inside, not knowing what she thought of. The servant didn't dare to disturb her, but he had to disturb her. After a while, he asked, "Do you want to invite her in?" Qin Junling picked up the wine glass, drank it down in one gulp, stood up, and said, "Bring him to the study." The servant said yes and went out to invite people. Qin Junling went to the study room without waiting for the woman outside. She wanted to see who was looking for her. This person must have a grudge against Wei Yuxian, and it must be a big grudge, otherwise, she would not come to him. Then what kind of person would become enemies with Wei Yuxian? Wei Yuxian has offended many people. Qin Junling sat on his own chair and flipped his hair, feeling quite sober. After a while, the study door was knocked by the servant. She said, "Come in," the door opened, and the servant came in with a woman. The woman is quite tall and wears a gauze hat on her head, which covers most of her face. Only the part below her mouth is visible. Qin Junling glanced at the woman but said nothing, nor did he immediately want to know who she was. Anyway, after a while, everything that needs to be known will be known, so there is no rush. The woman stepped on slender high heels and twisted her waist to walk forward. Looking at the clothes she was wearing, they were all expensive and big-name brands. She must be someone with status. The servant took the woman to sit down on the chair in front of Qin Junling and said, "Mr. Qin, I'm going out first." Qin Junling said and looked at the woman sitting in front of him. The woman lowered her head and still couldn't see her appearance. After the servant went out, before closing the door, another servant knocked on the door, holding a tray with tea on it. He put down the tea and poured a cup for Qin Junling and the woman before the servant withdrew. The door closed, and only Qin Junling and the woman were left in the study. Qin Junling was not in a hurry, and slowly picked up the teacup and took a sip to wake up and wash away the drunkenness just now. She wasn't drunk, but she had drank a lot just now. Some tea would help her wake up. The woman opposite also picked up the teacup, took a sip, and said her first words after arriving here, "The tea is good." "Thank you," Qin Junling said politely. The woman put down the teacup, raised her hand, took off her hat, and revealed her true face. This woman is quite good looking and has some good looks. After dressing up like this, her advantages are revealed and she looks even more beautiful. The woman's face was completely unfamiliar to Qin Junling. She was very sure that she had never seen this person before. And this person doesn't look very old, he is 7 or 8 years older than me. The corners of the woman's mouth were slightly raised, with a decent smile on her face. She stretched out her hand and said, "Hello, Mr. Qin, I am, Ding Nana." Qin Junling still didn't know who this woman was, even though she reported her family name. She shook hands with Nana Ding and asked, "Should I get to know you?" The corners of Ding Nana's mouth curved a little wider, and she said, "Mr. Qin didn't know me before, but he will know me from now on, because we are friends." Qin Junling withdrew his hand and leaned back on the chair with a lazy posture. "Why don't I remember that I have such a friend?" Ding Nana put one hand on the table, rested her chin on it, and said, "Mr. Qin should know that the enemy of the enemy is a friend, and we have a common enemy, so we are friends, are you right?" Qin Junling raised his eyebrows slightly. "Are you talking about Wei Yuxian?" "Yes," Ding Nana said, "I know everything about the relationship between Mr. Qin and Wei Yuxian. You have liked Fu Xuanyi for so long, and to be snatched away by Wei Yuxian like this, you must be very unhappy, right? And Miss Qin, it was obviously just a trivial matter, but the Fu family did not give any face to the Qin family, making the Qin family a joke in Kyoto, and even lost a right hand. Mr. Qin, shouldn't you just let it go?" Qin Junling listened to her speaking these words calmly, and her lazy posture slowly became more serious. It seems that this person knows the Qin family quite well, and he also understands the incident a while ago very well. These days, she was still feeling a little unhappy and resentful towards Fu Xuanyi. Especially seeing Xiaomu's changes now, becoming very obedient and studying much more diligently, her resentment towards Fu Xuanyi and Wei Yuxian became even greater. What she felt most regretful about was that Fu Xuanyi not only cut off Xiaomu's right hand, but also refused to allow Xiaomu to take it away. "If I can get my hand back that day, Xiaomu's hand can still be reattached, and now I won't have to install a myoelectric prosthetic hand and have to wear gloves every day." How could she not resent Fu Xuanyi and Wei Yuxian? How can you not hate it? Qin Junling narrowed his eyes and said, "Miss Ding knows the Qin family so well, but I haven't understood Miss Ding yet." After hearing this, Ding Nana knew that there was something going on about cooperating with Qin Junling, and said, "At first, Wei Yuxian and I were roommates, and we had some minor conflicts. After she got close to Fu Xuanyi, she took care of me. My family's company was also destroyed by her, and my hatred against her is no less than that between Mr. Qin and her. So Mr. Qin, what do you think if we work together to get her?" Qin Junling put his hands on his lower abdomen and asked, "What is your status now? If you cooperate with me, you can't do nothing." "Ding Nana, has Mr. Qin ever heard of the Barrett family in country E? Qin Junling has naturally heard of it. The Barrett family, the powerful people of E country, is on par with the Jones family and is one of the two most prominent families in E country. Speaking of this, Qin Junling's expression became more serious, and his eyes changed when he looked at Ding Nana. The Barrett family and the Jones family are equivalent to the Fu family. Is this woman so powerful? Miss Ding is from the Barrett family. But why haven't I heard that there are Orientals in the Barrett family? Ding Nana did not panic at all and said, "The current head of the Barrett family is my man." Regardless of whether Mr. Qin believes it or not, this is true. By the way, I still have the future heir of the Barrett family in my belly. As she said that, she put her hand on her lower abdomen, where there was a slight bulge, indicating that it was a month old. It was cold and she was wearing a lot of clothes. When she walked in just now, Qin Junling didn't notice it immediately. After getting pregnant, the celibate Buddhist fiercely dotes on his beloved wife. Author, Zhu Yi. Chapter 214. Back then, after being punished by Lu Changxiao, Ding Nana dragged her broken body back home. She thought that after returning home, she would be saved. Unexpectedly, when she returned home, she was greeted by the news that her family was bankrupt. Because her father could not accept such a blow, he chose to commit suicide. Her mother also fell ill immediately. Her brothers complained and cursed her, kicked her out of the house, and no longer recognized her as a member of the Ding family. It only took a few days for her to go from being the little princess at home to becoming a weed. That was the worst time for her. Her whole body was in pain, she didn't have a good piece of skin, and she couldn't contact any of her usual friends. She knew where to go, but she didn't know where she would end up. This huge gap made her collapse. She wandered aimlessly on the street, the pain in her body became numb, and the people around her looked at her strangely, but she didn't care anymore. For a moment, she didn't know whether she should continue to live. But when she thought that Wei Yuxian was still living freely in this world and living such a good life with Fu Xuanyi, she felt very unwilling to do so. She had endured all these tortures and sufferings and was finally liberated. How could she die so easily? She wants to live. Live well. One day, she found a chance, and she wanted Wei Yuxian to try the suffering she had suffered. Thinking of Wei Yuxian, the wounds on her body seemed to hurt more. After making up her mind to take revenge on Wei Yuxian, Ding Nana worked really hard to live. It's just that she was spoiled by her family in the past. She couldn't do anything, her grades were not good, and she didn't know what to do to support herself. While walking, she passed a bar and saw that the bar was recruiting waiters, so she went. After staying in the bar for a while, her injuries were almost healed. It was at this time that she met a man, a foreigner, and his last name was Barrett. Barrett had a crush on her and took her away that night. After one night, Dinana followed Barrett on a plane to country E. At that moment, she knew that her chance was coming, and soon, she would be able to see Wei Yuxian suffering. Following Barrett to country E, she became Barrett's lover and became Barrett's current favorite. She knew that Barrett had a wife, but what did it matter? What she was interested in was Barrett's identity and the privileges that Barrett gave her. Besides, Barrett's wife is also a troubled person. The couple is married into a family, and there is no relationship at all. After getting married, they each go about their own business, and no one can control the other. Barrett had many lovers, but after having Ding Nana, he became devoted. He dismissed all his lovers and favored Ding Nana alone. Ding Nana took advantage of this opportunity to win over Barrett's heart as much as possible, making him so happy that he couldn't live without her. She is getting closer and closer to her goal, and is even pregnant with Barrett's child. At this point, her position in the Barrett family has been further consolidated. A few days ago, she told Barrett what Lu Changxiao had done to her, and she also proposed the idea of going back for revenge. When Barrett first heard that it was the Fu family, he was still a little hesitant, but after Ding Nana's persuasion, he still agreed to Ding Nana's request. Many people were sent back to the country with Ding Nana, but he himself was unable to go with him because of some family matters. After Ding Nana returned to China, she did not take immediate action. After all, this was not the territory of the Barrett family, but the territory of the Fu family. If she acted rashly, accidents would inevitably occur. In order to be foolproof, she decided to find a domestic family to cooperate with her and reduce the risk of failure. After some inquiring, she learned that the Qin family had recently offended the Fu family. After getting to know more, she learned that Qin Junling liked Fu Xuanyi, and Qin Zimu's hand was cut off by Fu Xuanyi. This contradiction is huge enough. As the saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. The Qin family's status in Kyoto is not low. Even if it offends the Fu family, their business has declined a bit, but they still have a solid foundation. Cooperating with the Qin family is a perfect fit. Therefore, Ding Nana couldn't wait to come over tonight to discuss this matter with Qin Junling. At first, she was not sure about what Qin Junling had in mind. But after a few words of conversation, she knew that there was something serious about this matter. Qin Junling hated Fu Xuanyi and Wei Yuxian. She also wanted to take revenge and go back. She also wanted to breathe a sigh of relief for the Qin family and Qin Zimu. Why should the Barrett family, plus the Qin family, be afraid of the Fu family? Qin Junling stared at Ding Nana, looking at her expression, trying to detect signs of lying. However, after watching for a while, Ding Nana's expression did not change and she was calm and composed. I really don't believe what Miss Ding said is true. The Barrett family, such a big family, cannot be offended by the Qin family, and the Fu family cannot be offended by the Qin family. She really wanted to go back for revenge, avenge Xiao Mu, avenge the Qin family, and at the same time, avenge herself. But she also had to think carefully about the consequences of doing so. The Qin family had already suffered a blow and had not recovered yet. If he suffered another blow, he would disappear completely in Kyoto. Therefore, she must think carefully and cannot just believe whatever this woman says. Ding Nana knew that this smart woman would not believe in herself so easily, and she had already thought of a countermeasure. Mr. Qin, wait a moment. She took out her cell phone and called Barrett on the spot. Not long after, the call was connected. The language of country E came out from the mobile phone. Qin Junling had learned it and could understand it. Baby, did you miss me? Ding Nana's E-country language is also very good. After going there, she also learned the accent there. Yes, hubby, I miss you, and the baby in my belly also says he misses you. Come back soon, honey, don't stay there too long, your husband will be angry. I understand. I will go back as soon as possible. I will go back after finishing the matter. Ding Nana blocked the camera, glanced at the person on the phone to Qin Junling, and said under Barrett's puzzled eyes, I'm at a friend's house, and my friend is curious about what you look like, hubby. Barrett, say hello to your friend for me. Ding Nana smiled sweetly and said, okay, hubby, I'll chat with my friends first. After hanging up the phone, Ding Nana's sweet smile disappeared and she said, Mr. Qin can check online to see if he is the head of the Barrett family. Qin Junling immediately went to check. After a while, he put down the phone and said, Miss Ding, it's nice to meet you, but I have to think about cooperation again. After getting pregnant, the celibate Buddhist fiercely dotes on his beloved wife. Author, Ju Yi. Chapter 215. Ding Nana said that it was no problem. Such a big matter does require time to think about it carefully. If it were her, she would consider it carefully. She just hoped that Qin Junling would not disappoint her. She said, okay, Mr. Qin, How about 2 days? Qin Junling nodded and said, I will give you an answer in 2 days. Afterwards, they exchanged contact information, and Qin Junling personally sent Ding Nana out. She watched Ding Nana get into a black Hummer, and took a look at the people in the car. They were all foreigners. I think these people are the ones sent to her by Barrett. After the Hummer left the Qin mansion, Qin Junling stood at the door for a while, blowing the cold wind for a while, and all the remaining alcoholism was gone, and then he walked back to the room to sleep. This night, I didn't sleep very peacefully. I kept thinking about things in my mind, thinking about the Qin family, thinking about the Fu family, and thinking about tonight's events. After tossing and turning for a long time, she finally fell asleep. At dawn, the sun came out a little bit today, and it was warm on his body. Qin Zimu also got up early. After she finished washing, she went downstairs and sat down at the dining table. Soon, the servant brought breakfast. While eating breakfast, she asked, "How much did sister drink last night?" The servant answered truthfully, "Mr. Qin drank a little more than 1 bottle last night." "What time did you go to bed?" She used my electromyographic prosthetic hand to eat skillfully. She also wore gloves on her hand, which looked no different from her normal hand. Mr. Qin returns to the room at 11 o'clock. The servant said, "Second miss, a young lady came to see Mr. Qin last night." Qin Zimu stopped eating and looked at the servant. He said nothing, but his eyes clearly asked her what happened last night. The servant told everything that happened last night. "Not long after you returned to the room last night, the lady came and was invited into the study by Mr. Qin. I didn't hear the conversation that followed." Qin Zimu ate breakfast absent-mindedly, thinking about who would come to talk to his sister in the middle of the night. Could it be that there was something temporarily wrong with the company that made that woman come to see her sister in the middle of the night? But that's not right. If it's someone from the company, how could the servant not recognize him? She squinted her eyes, feeling that things were not simple. At this time, the servant thought of something again and continued, "By the way, Miss Second, I remember that the lady said last night that she always came to Qin because of Wei Yuxian's affairs." Qin Zimu immediately turned his attention to the servant. "You mean, Wei Yuxian?" The servant nodded. "Yes, Miss Second, I heard you right." Mr. Qin actually didn't want to see the young lady at first, but after the young lady mentioned the name Wei Yuxian, Mr. Qin invited her in. Qin Zimu stared at the table and said after a while, "I understand." The servant said, "Please tell me if you have anything else to do," and then withdrew. Qin Zimu ate breakfast absent-mindedly, and didn't even notice that the porridge in his bowl was finished. Wei Yuxian. The man who came to see his sister last night was about Wei Yuxian. Now, the whole capital knows that Qin Zimu and Wei Yuxian don't get along, and so does her sister, who has a gap with Wei Yuxian. So that person last night most likely had a conflict with Wei Yuxian. But Wei Yuxian has never been a troublemaker, so why does she have so many enemies? Qin Zimu finally realized that the porridge in the bowl was finished. He glanced down, moved the bowl aside, and ate something else. She was thinking about what enemies Wei Yuxian had. Suddenly, a person appeared in her mind. This person is most likely the person who came to see my sister last night. That is, Ding Nana. When she was a freshman, she had heard about the incident between Ding Nana and Wei Yuxian. After all, it was a big deal in the school at that time, and it was difficult for her not to know about it. However, hasn't Ding Nana been dealt with by Fu Xuanyi? Could it be that something else happened after this? Qin Zimu had a lot of doubts in his heart, and his head hurt a little from thinking about it. Later, she simply stopped thinking about it and thought about asking her sister after she woke up. After breakfast, her sister still didn't get up. Qin Zimu walked upstairs to the door of his sister's room, gently opened the door and walked in. When he walked to the bed, he saw Qin Junling's peaceful sleeping face, showing no signs of waking up. A look of distress quickly appeared on her face, feeling sorry for her sister. She knew that her sister must have had insomnia again last night, otherwise she would have been up long ago at this time. She sighed, covered Qin Junling with the quilt, and walked out of the room softly. There's no rush, this matter can't be rushed, at least we have to wait until my sister wakes up. My sister is usually very hard-working. She finally takes the annual vacation and someone comes to disturb her vacation. That person last night really deserves to die. If it weren't for her, why would my sister suffer from insomnia again? Qin Zimu sat down on the tatami on the balcony, basking in the sun. There was a plate of fruit on the table next to her, and she was eating while playing with her mobile phone. She didn't know how long she had been playing with her phone, but she finally heard movement from the stairs. She turned around and saw her sister walking down in silk pajamas. A hint of surprise flashed across her face. She got up from the tatami. The sun was no longer shining. She walked to her sister with a slightly hurried pace and said with a smile, "Sister, get up." Qin Junling said and asked her, "Have you had breakfast?" Qin Zimu, after eating, "Sister, you must be hungry. Go and have breakfast." Sitting down at the dining table with her sister, she ordered the servant to bring breakfast quickly so that her sister wouldn't be hungry. Qin Junling was eating breakfast and looked at the people around him. The latter was watching her eating breakfast with his head propped up, without saying a word, and the corners of his mouth were slightly raised. "I don't know what I was happy about so early in the morning. Xiao Mu, you can go and do your own business. There is no need to have breakfast with me." "It's okay, sister, I just want to stay by my sister's side." Qin Junling had no choice but to allow her to watch him eat breakfast. This little girl doesn't know what's going on, but she has become more and more clinging to her during this time. When she was little, this little girl loved to be clingy to her, but when she grew up, she wasn't so clingy anymore. But now, it's starting to stick again. Qin Zimu was not in a hurry at all. He waited patiently for his sister to eat breakfast, holding his head and smiling stupidly. After finishing breakfast, Qin Junling wiped his mouth, looked at the people around him, and asked, "Do you want to ask me for anything?" Otherwise, how could he stay by her side so peacefully without saying a word? Qin Zimu nodded, "Yes, I have something to ask my sister. Let's go to the balcony to talk and let the sun warm us up." Qin Junling had no objection, got up and walked to the balcony with her, sat down on the tatami, and enjoyed the warm sun bath comfortably. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After getting pregnant, the celibate Buddhist fiercely dotes on his beloved wife. Author, Ju Yi. Chapter 216. She turned around and asked, "Can I talk now?" Qin Zimu nodded and asked, "Sister, did you meet someone last night?" She asked directly without beating around the bush. Qin Junling had no intention of hiding this from her. Today's Xiaomu is no longer the same Xiaomu as before. She has also learned to take one step at a time and see 3 steps ahead. She nodded and said, "Yes, I met someone last night and she brought it to my door." "Who is it?" "Ding Nana, I used to be from your school." "Do you know her?" When Qin Zimu heard that it was indeed the person he was thinking of, he immediately lost his affection for Ding Nana. "Okay. It turns out that this woman came to see my sister in the middle of the night and kept her awake. It's a miracle that this woman isn't dead yet. She is also a talent for being able to survive under the hands of Fu Xuanyi and Lu Changxiao, but I don't know what she has been through these days and what kind of people she has met, and she actually dares to take Wei Yuxian's idea again." She nodded and said, "I know her. I guess there's no one in our school who doesn't know her." Qin Junling raised his eyebrows slightly, "How do you say this?" "Qin Zimu, During my freshman year, Ding Nana and Wei Yuxian were roommates, but Ding Nana despised Wei Yuxian because she came from a ravine. She disliked her and made things difficult for her. She even posted a post spreading rumors about Wei Yuxian. Then Wei Yuxian took a year off from school. However, it is also possible that Wei Yuxian dropped out of school to raise her child. Later, Fu Xuanyi found out that Ding Nana was making things difficult for Wei Yuxian, and he punished her, beating her until she cried for father and mother, and the family company was gone. Qin Junling never expected to hear such a good show. It was so exciting. Last night, Ding Nana just said that she had a conflict with Wei Yuxian, but she didn't say what the specific conflict was. Now it seems that Ding Nana is not an economical person. Also, if she was a cheap person, she wouldn't be able to hook up with Barrett. Therefore, the conflict between Ding Nana and Wei Yuxian was caused by Ding Nana in the first place. If she had not been so owed, she would not have been dealt with by Fu Xuanyi. As much as Fu Xuanyi loved Wei Yuxian, how could he endure others bullying her? Ding Nana originally hated Wei Yuxian, but after being punished by Fu Xuanyi like this, her family was ruined. She hated Wei Yuxian even more, and she was afraid that she wanted to beat her tendons and peel her skin off. Now that she had the chance, she came back to seek revenge on Wei Yuxian. But this is the territory of the Fu family. Is it so easy for her to take revenge? Qin Zimu looked at the sun in the sky. The sunlight was not dazzling and was much milder than in summer. She asked again, "Sister, Ding Nana came to you to discuss cooperation with you? She wants your help to do Wei Yuxian together." Qin Junling nodded, said yeah and said, "But I haven't promised her yet. I will give her an answer tomorrow." Qin Zimu was relieved when he heard this. Fortunately, his sister had not agreed yet, otherwise, things would have been a bit difficult. "Sister, do you know what trump card Ding Nana has now? If she didn't have a trump card, she wouldn't seek revenge on Wei Yuxian so quickly." Qin Junling, "She is now the lover of the head of the Barrett family in Country E. Do you know the Barrett family? In Country E, no other family can compete with him except the Jones family. In our case, it is equivalent to the status of the Fu family. I didn't know it before, but now I know it. It seems that Ding Nana is quite capable," Qin Zimu said, "but in the end, she is just a lover, and the Barrett family is just running rampant in Country E. Among us, who can compare to the Fu family? So sister, I don't think we need to cooperate with her." Qin Junling drank wine last night and was not very clear-headed. He only thought about revenge, but now he is sober and thinks more. Of course she knows the seriousness of this matter. If she makes one wrong step, the Qin family will be completely destroyed. Qin Zimu continued, "No matter how powerful the Barrett family is, they can't reach out to us. If Ding Nana touches Wei Yuxian, Fu Xuanyi will definitely not let her go. Even if he is chased abroad, he will be captured." Qin Junling bit the soft flesh of his lower lip and nodded in agreement. Xiao Mu is right, Barrett is powerful, but he is from E country after all. Wei Yuxian has gone through so many hardships, Fu Xuanyi has only put a lot more people around her, and Ding Nana's actions may not be successful. If it is found out that the Qin family is also involved, it will be over, and the Qin family's inheritance for generations will be ruined in her hands. However, her hatred, Qin's hatred, and Xiao Mu's hatred. She still couldn't swallow this breath in her heart. Seeing that she was thinking seriously, Qin Zimu's face changed several times, and he could almost guess what she was thinking. "In addition, my sister just looked at her right hand for a while. She said, 'Sister, you don't have to think about avenging me. I deserve this hand. If I hadn't kidnapped Wei Yuxian, I wouldn't have lost this hand. It's all my own fault. Now that I can survive and be with my sister, I am very satisfied. Let's not get involved in Wei Yuxian's affairs anymore. We can't fight the Fu family. Even with the Barrett family, the Fu family is still standing tall in Kyoto. She thought clearly. Although she had hatred for Wei Yuxian and Fu Xuanyi in her heart, she also knew that she had to put the overall situation first. The company was her sister's hard work over the years, and she didn't want to watch her sister's hard work disappear. In this world, there are no obstacles that cannot be overcome. Gratitudes and grudges can be put aside, but the Qin family must not fail. Qin Junling rubbed his temples, feeling that it was about to start torturing him again, and asked, "Xiao Mu, do you really think so? Don't you hate it?" "Of course it's true," Qin Zimu said, "of course hate is hate, but compared with Qin's family, this hatred is nothing. Sister, I will stay with you and guard Qin's family with you." Qin Junling's eyes became much clearer. He looked at the mountains and forests in the distance and said softly, "Okay. Life is only a few decades long, and it's not worth it to hook up with Qin just to make a living. Her years of hard work can't be wasted like this." She had the answer in her mind, determined the direction, and was determined to put down those grudges from now on, stop thinking about the Fu family, Fu Xuanyi and Wei Yuxian, and just take care of her company. As for Ding Nana, she had to invite someone over in the afternoon. Although she decided not to cooperate, she also wanted to ask what her plans were and how she planned to deal with Wei Yuxian. It would be great if Ding Nana could kidnap Wei Yuxian away, so that the Qin family could make her feel much better without having to take action. After getting pregnant, the celibate Buddhist fiercely dotes on his beloved wife. Author, Ju Yi. Chapter 217. The afternoon came quickly, and Qin Junling called Ding Nana during lunch and asked her to come over at 3 in the afternoon. Ding Nana thought she had agreed to cooperate, so she happily agreed, saying that she would arrive on time. After lunch, Qin Junling sat for a while and then went to her room to sleep. She didn't sleep well last night, so she was catching up on her sleep now. "This time, I slept until Ding Nana arrived." She was woken up by Qin Zimu. When she opened her eyes, she saw her sister sitting on the edge of the bed, gently poking her cheek with a very soft voice. Qin Zimu didn't want to wake her sister up so soon. She finally saw her sister sleeping well and she didn't want to disturb her. But Nanading came and she had to wake her sister up. That woman insisted that her sister talk to her, but she was unwilling to talk to her herself. "Sister, it's time to get up, Ding Nana is here," Qin Zimu said when he saw his sister open her eyes. Qin Junling glanced at the alarm clock on the bedside table and found that it was already past 3:10, and she had actually slept for so long. She said grabbed her hair a few times with her hands, smoothed it back, and said, "You go and entertain them first, I'll be there in a minute." Qin Zimu said okay and went out to entertain Ding Nana. Qin Junling got up and went into the bathroom to wash up briefly, tied up her hair casually, looked at her pajamas, and had no intention of changing, so she went to see Nana Ding. When they came to the living room, Qin Zimu and Ding Nana sat on the sofa, each playing with their mobile phones without chatting. The main thing is that there is nothing to talk about, and the two of them are not familiar with each other. It is the first time they meet, so there is naturally nothing to talk about. Hearing the footsteps, Qin Zimu and Ding Nana looked up at the same time and put down their mobile phones. "Miss Ding, welcome," Qin Junling said with a slight smile on his face. "Mr. Qin, we meet again." Ding Nana also had a beautiful smile on her face. "Let's go to the study to talk." "Miss Ding, please come with me." Qin Junling did not sit down and invited Ding Nana to go to the study with her. "Okay." Ding Nana took her bag and stood up. Qin Zimu also wanted to get up and follow. She felt that she could also participate in this matter and listen to it. But Nanading didn't want her to follow and said, "Mr. Qin, let's talk about this matter." Maybe Qin Junling would tell Qin Zimu the content after they finished talking, and Qin Zimu would know sooner or later, but she still didn't want Qin Zimu to follow. One more person, one more mouth, and one more idea. She didn't want to be in so much trouble, she just wanted to finalize the matter quickly, capture Wei Yuxian, and return to Country E. For her now, Country E is the safest place after all. With Barrett there, she doesn't have to worry about anything. But it was different in Kyoto. She still had to be on tenterhooks. If she delayed for another day, she would feel even more anxious. When Qin Zimu heard this, his face darkened in his heart, but he still kept a smile on his face and said, "It's okay, sister, you go with Miss Ding, I'm just playing games." The expression on Qin Junling's face became lighter, and he said without saying anything and took Nana Ding to the study. As soon as the person left, Qin Zimu's face fell, and he sat down on the sofa and played games. What's the air? Isn't she Barrett's lover? See what she can do, she's really capable. In the study, after Qin Junling and Ding Nana walked in, a servant came to serve tea. After serving the tea, he left and closed the door. Qin Junling pushed a cup of tea in front of her and said, "Miss Ding, take a sip of tea first." Ding Nana said thank you, drank a cup of tea, and said, "Mr. Qin, let's talk about Wei Yuxian. I want to resolve this matter quickly and return to Country E. Barrett said he misses me." "Okay," Qin Junling said, "let Miss Ding tell you first what you want to do. What will you do with Wei Yuxian after you catch her?" A hint of viciousness flashed in Ding Nana's eyes. When she thought of Wei Yuxian, she remembered the days when she was tortured by Lu Changxiao. It was really dark at that time, and there was no hope of living. Those scars still seemed to hurt. She said, "I have already inquired about her schedule. In 3 days, Wei Yuxian will take her children to the amusement park. At that time, it will be our chance to take action. There are many people in the amusement park, so even if she brings bodyguards, our chances of success are high. As for how I will treat Wei Yuxian after I catch her, of course, I will pay back double the suffering I suffered." Not only did she want to pay back double the amount, she also wanted to do it herself. Torture Wei Yuxian personally. Only then can she relieve the hatred in her heart. Wei Yuxian is a bitch, she doesn't deserve such a good life. After following Fu Xuanyi, her life was so nourishing that she even gave birth to 2 children. Isn't it just looking for a man? Who wouldn't look for the same thing? The man Ding Nana is looking for is no worse than the one Wei Yuxian is looking for. What about the specific plan? Miss Ding, can you tell me about it? Qin Junling had a decent smile on his lips. There is nothing inconvenient to say. Ding Nana told Qin Junling all her plans for more than an hour. Outside the living room, Qin Zimu was playing games boredly, glancing upstairs from time to time, impatiently waiting. Why did we talk for so long? What has this woman been talking about with her sister? Are you still trying to persuade your sister to cooperate? She thought about her sister's obsession with hatred again, and was really afraid that her sister would be persuaded by this woman Ding Nana. People cannot always be rational. No matter how rational a person is, there will be times when he is impulsive. She forced herself to wait patiently and not to rush forward, and also hinted that she should trust her sister, who would not be so impulsive. Taking a deep breath, Qin Zimu retracted his gaze, returned to the phone in his hand, and continued to kill time. In the study, Ding Nana had finished explaining her plan. She felt that her plan was perfect. She is such a genius. How could you come up with such a perfect plan? Ding Nana had already put on a victorious smile on her face in advance. She felt that Qin Junling would definitely agree to cooperate with her. With such a perfect opportunity, why would Qin Junling not agree to cooperate with her? "Mr. Qin, it's your turn to speak next," she asked Qin Junling to give her an answer. Qin Junling is a smart man, so he naturally knows what she really means. She pretended to think hard and said, "Miss Ding, I want to think about it again." "Ding Nana, what else is Mr. Qin thinking?" "There will be no problem with my plan." I will definitely catch Wei Yuxian this time. Qin Junling smiled slightly and said, after all, it is such a big matter. Of course I have to think it over carefully. Miss Ding, please wait a little longer. Hearing this, Ding Nana could only sit and wait for her to think. Warm reminder, if you find that clicking the next page will force you to jump to other websites, please use the chapter error or contact us at the bottom to inform us. We will handle it as soon as possible. Thank you for your understanding. After getting pregnant, the celibate Buddhist fiercely dotes on his beloved wife. Author, Zhu Yi. Chapter 218. After thinking for a few minutes, she put away the smile on her face. Looking at Ding Nana's expression, she hesitated to speak. As soon as Ding Nana saw her expression, she knew something was wrong. Sure enough, the next second, Qin Junling said, Miss Ding, I thought about it carefully and thought about the plan you just mentioned. I'm very sorry, Miss Ding, I don't think we need to cooperate. Ding Nana bit her back molars, clenched her hands tightly at her sides, and asked, can I know why Mr. Qin refused? Qin Junling sighed and said, Miss Ding must also know that our Qin family's vitality has been severely damaged recently and is not as good as before, so now I have to think carefully about every step I take. If I take action against Wei Yuxian, Fu Xuanyi will never let go of the Qin family again. I can't take the whole Qin family and take this breath. So please understand Ms. Ding. I am afraid of death and timid. Ms. Ding should find someone else to cooperate with me. The smile on Ding Nana's face completely disappeared and she said, with the Barrett family here, what is President Qin afraid of? Qin Junling smiled and shook his head, saying, of course Miss Ding is not afraid. The Barrett family is far away in country E. Even if Fu Xuanyi wants to do something to Miss Ding, he must think carefully about it. But our Qin family can't do that. The Qin family was born and raised in Kyoto, so they can't escape. Even with the protection of the Barrett family, Fu Xuanyi is not afraid. Distant water cannot save nearby fire. Miss Ding should understand this truth. I'm really sorry, Miss Ding, for making your trip in vain. To express my apology, how about staying for dinner tonight? We are still friends. Ding Nana's back molars are almost broken. After taking several deep breaths, I reluctantly accepted the result. Her mood was evident on her face, and she couldn't even pretend anymore, and said, no, thank you very much for Mr. Qin's kindness. Since Mr. Qin is unwilling to cooperate, I won't stay any longer. Miss Ding, walk slowly, I will see Miss Ding off. Before she could get up, Ding Nana stood up first and strode towards the door. The clicking of her high heels was enough to show her anger. Ignoring Qin Junling behind her, she opened the door and walked out. Then she shook it hard and there was a pop. The door was slammed shut. Qin Junling looked at the closed door and said nothing. He stopped expressionlessly, turned around, walked back to the chair and sat down, pouring a cup of tea to drink. If she's angry, just be angry. It's none of her business anyway. She just needs to take care of her own family's affairs. How can she think about anything else? Qin Zimu's patience, after playing the game for a long time, was almost exhausted. She looked towards the stairs again to see if there was any movement. She had done this action no less than 100 times. But this time there was still no movement. It was quiet at the top of the stairs, not even the servants. She couldn't bear it anymore and didn't want to wait for a moment. She decided to get up and go to the study to see what they were talking about for so long. Just when she was about to get up, finally, there was movement from the stairs. She cast her gaze over and saw Ding Nana walking down with her bag, her face dark and angry, and her high heels clicking loudly. Looking at Ding Nana's look, Qin Zimu knew that her sister had not agreed to cooperate with her, otherwise she wouldn't be so angry. With a slight smile on her face, she stood up and asked, is Miss Ding going back? I'll see Miss Ding off. Ding Nana glanced at her coldly, caught a glimpse of the smile on her face, and suddenly felt that she had been fooled. Maybe these two sisters had already decided not to cooperate with me. Today, they just wanted to put on a show for her. Very good. Even the Chin family is bullying her. It seems that these people really don't take her Ding Nana seriously. The more Ding Nana thought about it, the angrier she became. She glared at Chin Zimu fiercely, said nothing, walked to the door, opened the door, and closed the door with a loud bang again. After getting in the car, she asked the driver to drive. Before leaving, she looked back at Chin Mansion, with a hint of evil flashing in her eyes. The Chin family, right? Even you are bullying me. Wei Yuxian bullied me, Fu Xuanyi bullied me, Lu Changxiao bullied me, even the Chin family bullied me. Just wait for me. When I return to country E, let Barrett kill you all. A small Chin family, in Barrett's eyes, is not enough to fill his teeth. Ding Nana was very angry, with a dark face the whole time. As soon as she returned to the hotel, she couldn't help but call Barrett to tell her the grievances she suffered today. On the Chin family side, Chin Zimu watched her close the door and stopped chasing her out. It's so boring to ignore you and chase after you like a dog. She, Chin Zimu, has never lost her worth like this. She said cut, turned around, and walked upstairs. My sister hasn't come down yet, and I don't know if Ding Nana just gave her sister a slap in the face. She came to the study door, raised her hand and knocked on the door. After getting her sister's permission, she opened the door and walked in. As soon as she entered the door, she saw her sister sitting lazily on a chair, holding a mobile phone in her hand, not knowing what she was looking at. Sister Chin Zimu was in a good mood when he saw his sister, and his voice was rising. Chin Junling just discovered that the person was Chin Zimu. She thought he was a servant just now. She raised her head and said, "It's Xiao Mu, sit down." Chin Zimu sat down on the chair in front of her and asked, "What did sister and Ding Nana just talk about?" "They chatted for so long, I almost wanted to break in." "We didn't talk about much, we just talked about her plans." "What does sister think of her plan?" Chin Junling crossed his arms in front of his chest and said, "I think her plan is good. There is a high chance of catching Wei Yuxian." Then, she briefly told Chin Zimu about Ding Nana's plan. After Chin Zimu heard this, he also thought it was very good. It seemed that Ding Nana had put some effort into thinking about this matter. After all, she only had this chance. If she didn't plan well, she might be in vain. Not only that, she is likely to fall into Fu Xuanyi's hands again. If she falls into Fu Xuanyi's hands again, she will never be able to turn over again. Suddenly, an idea flashed through Chin Zimu's mind, and she said, "Sister, how about we tell Fu Xuanyi the news? We know Ding Nana's specific plan. If we tell Fu Xuanyi, maybe the pressure on the Chin family will not be so great." By telling Fu Xuanyi the news, they were equivalent to helping Fu Xuanyi. In this way, the Chin family's life in Kyoto would be much easier. In Kyoto, the Fu family is the top existence after all. They can naturally ease the relationship as long as they can. No one wants to be the enemy of the Fu family, and no one wants to end up with their family ruined. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After getting pregnant, the celibate Buddhist fiercely dotes on his beloved wife. Author, Ju Yi. Chapter 219. Chin Junling thought for a while, shook his head and said, "No, let's just pretend we don't know about this matter. We don't need to tell Fu Xuanyi. Wei Yuxian's fate depends on herself. Actually, I was still looking forward to Wei Yuxian being taken away." A clear smile flashed in her eyes. When Chin Zimu saw that his sister was happy, he stopped saying anything and just said, "It's good that my sister is happy. Our Chin family didn't get involved anyway." After Ding Nana complained to Barrett on the phone, she began to make arrangements for the day after tomorrow. This has to be foolproof, so be prepared in advance. Soon, 3 days passed. Ding Nana was ready and took her people to the amusement park in advance to wait and see. On the Fu family side, Wei Yuxian and Fu Xuanyi were neatly dressed, and the two babies were also tightly dressed and placed in their strollers. Wei Yuxian is so happy today. From the moment I woke up, my face was filled with a smile of joy, and I never left. She had been waiting for this day for a long time. Before the Chinese New Year, she wanted to take Shishi and Zizi to the amusement park, but she was tormented by this man until midnight every night. When she got up the next day, she didn't even have the energy. Finally, the man stopped tormenting her. It was the Chinese New Year again. They had to visit relatives and receive guests from Fu's house, but they still had no chance to take the babies out. But now, the man stopped making trouble and the guests were gone, so she finally had time to take the babies out. This is the first time for the babies to go to an amusement park. She is looking forward to it. Sitting on the sofa in the living room, Wei Yuxian was wearing a watch on her wrist today. She raised her wrist and looked at the time, then looked at the direction of the stairs. Waiting for someone. She can't wait to get going. A few minutes later, Fu's father and Fu's mother finally came down from upstairs. They were both wrapped tightly, leaving no opportunity for the cold wind to take advantage of them. When Wei Yuxian saw the two elders finally coming down, she was the first to stand up and said, "Let's go. Let's go quickly." Seeing how young and lively she was, Fu's mother couldn't help but have a smile on her face. She stepped forward to hold her hand and said, "You've been waiting for a long time. Let's go now." Wei Yuxian cheered and walked in front with Fu's mother. Behind them, Fu Xuanyi and his father looked at each other and then at each other's arms. They both felt disgusted and followed them silently. Fu Xuanyi was still pushing a stroller, which contained the Fu family's little babies Shishi and Zizi. As soon as she went out, the cold wind hit her face. Wei Yuxian was thankful that she was wrapped thickly and didn't feel cold at all. After getting in the car, the heater was turned on, which made it even warmer. Wei Yuxian was so hot that she took off a coat. Wei Yuxian and Fu's mother were chatting, talking about what they were going to play in the amusement park later, and seeing what gentle activities were suitable for babies. Babies are really too young. Even if they are playing, they must be held in the arms of parents and played together, so that they are safe. While the two were chatting, they also hugged Shishi's Zizi and kissed her from time to time. She was so precious. Shishi now knew how to call her mom, and soon learned to call her dad, which made Wei Yuxian so happy. Now, she teased the two little guys and asked them to call mother. The little guy was quite cooperative and called his mother several times. Wei Yuxian's eyes curled up and she said hey, and the tenderness in her eyes almost overflowed. The little ones not only called their mother, but also called their father twice, which made Fu Xuanyi, who was sitting next to him, look softer and agreed with him. The atmosphere in the car was warm and harmonious, with laughter and joy all the way to the amusement park. This is the largest amusement park in Kyoto with the most complete facilities. In order to give visitors a better experience, the number of people allowed to enter is limited every day. Wei Yuxian's eyes lit up when she looked at the playground in front of her. She has never seen such a big playground. The place where her adoptive parents live is a small place and the playground is also small. At that time, she looked outside and liked it very much. Now that this one is bigger, she likes it even more. "Let's go in quickly," Wei Yuxian said excitedly, her tone full of joy. Okay, don't be in a hurry, just walk in." Fu's mother quickly stopped Wei Yuxian, who was about to run in, and asked her to walk slowly. Wei Yuxian was still holding Shishi in her arms, and Fu Xuanyi was holding Ji in his arms. They walked together, with Fu's father and Fu's mother walking behind. Fu's mother finally stopped competing with Fu Xuanyi for her daughter-in-law and gave her back to him. Master Xian's mood obviously improved. They came to the door and checked the tickets. After the staff confirmed that they were correct, they were let in. As soon as you enter the door, there is a large map showing the distribution of facilities in the amusement park. Wei Yuxian pulled Fu Xuanyi over to looking for where the carousel was. After looking at it for a minute, she realized that the map was really too big. She held Shishi with one hand and clicked on the carousel on the map with the other hand, saying, "Let's go here first so we can play with Shishiji." Fu Xuanyi and Fu's father and mother naturally had no objections. Today, they all listened to Yuxian and played whatever Yuxian wanted to play. Opposite the map is the sightseeing station, which is free and there are many buses. They can take one by themselves. Most of the people who come to this amusement park are wealthy people, and they don't like sharing a car with others. Most of them go in their own car. After getting on the sightseeing car, Wei Yuxian told the driver to go to the carousel, and the driver started the car. The car was very fast, and they arrived at the carousel in 5 minutes. The driver said, "Guest, you can write down the number of the car. The number of this car is 17. Today, I will serve the guests." Wei Yuxian nodded and said okay and got out of the car with her child in her arms. She looked at the carousel and found that there was no one there. She raised her eyebrows and said, "It seems we are quite lucky. There is no one on the carousel." It is now around 9 o'clock in the morning, which is quite early, but there are many people in the amusement park, most of them are families. There are also some young lovers and best friends, who are in the minority. Wei Yuxian did not hesitate, glanced at the man next to her, and said, "Let's go, we will be here when it's over." Fu Xuanyi said and walked over with her. "Is it heavy?" he asked. Wei Yuxian shook her head, "I can accept it, it's quite light now." The family walked to the entrance of the carousel and lined up outside, waiting for the machine to stop. They didn't notice that not far from them, a woman wearing a mask and a hat was staring at them closely. This person is none other than Ding Nana. If she hadn't seen them protected by bodyguards, she would have wanted to take action now. This time when he went out, Fu Xuanyi brought a lot of bodyguards, 8 of them openly, and more secretly. After getting pregnant, the celibate Buddhist fiercely dotes on his beloved wife. Author, Juyi. Chapter 220. Qin's house, master bedroom. The thick curtains are drawn tightly to block out the dazzling light and create a beautiful sleeping environment. There is a big bed in the room. If you look closely, you can see a slight bulge on the big bed, indicating that someone is sleeping. The room was very quiet, not a sound could be heard, making it even more comfortable to sleep. Suddenly, a rapid ringing of bells broke the silence. The person on the bed was also awakened by the ringing. He frowned and opened his eyes, reaching for his phone to see who had disturbed his clear dream. She had insomnia again last night and finally fell asleep. She felt like she was woken up again by the ringing of the bell before she had slept for an hour, so she was not in a very good mood. She pressed the connect button and said in a low voice, "What's the matter?" The caller was from her confidant. At this moment, there was a worried tone from the confidant, "Mr. Qin, the company's stock market has been maliciously attacked." One word made Qin Junling wake up immediately. She sat up and asked with sharp eyes, "What did you say?" The confidant repeated what he just said, "Mr. Qin, the company's stock market has been maliciously attacked." Qin Junling's face suddenly darkened and he asked, "Have you found out who did it?" Although the Qin family has fallen a little behind in Beijing, it is still not weak. Who would be so unreasonable and maliciously attack the Qin family's stock market? The confidant wiped the sweat from his forehead and said, "We haven't found out who attacked yet. We are doing our best to investigate." Because of this incident, the company's technical staff had to return from annual leave early and work overtime. Qin Junling was in a very irritable mood. She finally managed to stabilize Qin, but just a few days later, something like this happened again. She rubbed her hair irritably and said, "I understand. You need to stabilize the situation first, and I'll rush to the company as soon as possible." "Okay, Mr. Qin." After hanging up the phone, Qin Junling stood up without hesitation, washed up quickly, and left for the company without even eating breakfast. Qin Zimu saw his sister's hurried steps and hurriedly followed her and asked, "Sister, what happened?" Qin Junling walked hastily and said, "Something happened in the company." Hearing this, Qin Zimu's face became more solemn and said, "I will go to the company with my sister." The two sisters got into the car, which was driven by the driver. Qin Zimu took the time to ask, "Sister, what happened?" Qin Junling didn't hide it from her and said, "The company's stock market has been maliciously attacked." She had absolute trust in Qin Zimu and never thought of hiding anything about her company. Otherwise, she wouldn't have taken anyone with her now. Qin Zimu's expression became more solemn. "This is no small matter. If it's serious, the entire Qin family will have to pay for it." "Have you found out who it is?" she asked. "Our family rarely makes enemies in Kyoto. Who would attack the company at this juncture? If they want to take action, those people can take action when the Qin family is first in trouble. At that time, it will be easier to succeed, instead of waiting until now, when the Qin family is basically stable." Qin Junling couldn't guess who it was for a moment. She shook her head and leaned her head against the window, feeling pain in her temples. She didn't sleep well last night, and she was woken up again in the morning. She didn't get enough sleep and had a severe headache. His brows were furrowed tightly, with a somewhat patient look on his face. Qin Zimu knew at a glance that his sister's head was hurting again, and his eyes were filled with distress, and he said, "Sister, let me press your temples." Qin Junling opened his eyes. His head really hurt. He nodded, lay down, put his head on Qin Zimu's lap, and closed his eyes again. Qin Zimu lowered his head to see that his sister's appearance was somewhat similar to his own, but her sister was better looking, mature and charming. "Compared with my sister, I am still far behind. Why is my sister so beautiful? Is Fu Xuanyi blind or something? How dare you leave such a beautiful sister to find Wei Yuxian?" Fortunately, Fu Xuanyi is not with his sister. Fu Xuanyi's cold ice cube is not worthy of his sister. Thinking of this, Qin Zimu's eyes darkened, and he stretched out his hand to press Qin Junling's temples. She had learned a set of massages just to give her sister a massage. Her sister is working too hard. She needs to find more ways to relax her sister and make her life more comfortable. Her strength was very good, and the pressure made Qin Junling feel extremely comfortable, and the ridge between her eyebrows relaxed. Seeing that his sister finally stopped frowning and seemed to be feeling comfortable, Qin Zimu couldn't help but have a smile on his face. After rubbing her sister for a while, she suddenly heard the even breathing coming from the person on her legs, and she actually fell asleep. The smile on his face was even more obvious. Qin Zimu stopped and gently put his hand on his sister's face. "I said in my heart, go to sleep, sister, sleep a little longer." Qin Junling's nerves were tense. Even though she fell asleep comfortably just now, she didn't sleep for long. It took about 20 minutes for her to wake up, and just in time, the driver also drove the car to the company. Qin Junling opened his eyes and saw the sister above him looking at her with a pair of beautiful smiling eyes. "Sister, is she awake?" Qin Junling said sat up with Qin Zimu's help, and asked, "How long have I slept?" 10 minutes or so, sister should rest more, don't get tired." "I know." She knew that it was one thing, but whether she could fall asleep was another matter. If she didn't have insomnia at night, she wouldn't have a headache. We're here, sister, let's get off the car. Qin Zimu took his sister's hand and took the elevator to the president's office with Qin Junling. As soon as she entered, her confidant was already waiting inside, and there was a breakfast on her table. This is what Qin Zimu ordered his confidants to prepare. She did not forget that her sister hurriedly ate nothing when she went out. This is not possible. My sister's health is important and she cannot skip breakfast. Qin Zimu pulled her to a chair and sat down. He unwrapped the breakfast bag for her and said, "Sister, eat quickly. Let's talk while eating." Qin Junling was also a little hungry, so he took the chopsticks and started eating. Qin Zimu looked at his confidants and asked, "How's the investigation going?" The confidant said with a sad face, "There is no progress yet." Qin Zimu put one hand on the table and watched his sister eating breakfast, while wondering who could have done it. 2 minutes later, a flash of inspiration suddenly flashed in her mind. When she met her sister's gaze, she found that a flash of inspiration also flashed in her sister's eyes. Ding Nana, the two said the name at the same time, with the same idea. The Qin family did not agree to cooperate with her, which in a sense offended her, so it was natural that she would take revenge on the Qin family. Behind her is the Barrett family. Compared with the Barrett family, the Qin family is indeed not good enough. Okay, Ding Nana is going to do this, right? Then don't blame them, show no mercy.